Welcome back, YouTube. It is Saiko, and today we are here back with another video in our 30 teams in 30 day series. And in today's video, we are going to be tackling the New Orleans Pelicans. But before we even get into the video, if you guys could please hit the like button and also hit subscribe, that we really appreciate it. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the month, so not month, year. My bad. So if you guys could, I would really appreciate it if you guys did that. Also, don't forget to hit the bell for notifications, and I'm sure Zion Williamson would love it if y'all did that for me too. So this offseason was kind of good and kind of bad for the Pelicans, or at least in my opinion, I see it that way. I say this because they let go of Lonzo Ball on a sign-in trade with the Chicago Bulls, where they ended up getting Tomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple, and a future second-round pick in return for him. But they were able to re-sign Josh Hart, who is pretty much kind of like a glue guy to this team, so that was really important because the guy legitimately just hustles and just does everything on the defensive end for the Pelicans. They also signed Devontae Graham to add more shooting to the team, as well as Willie Hernan-Gomez to pretty much play backup center for them. They also made a really solid trade by trading away Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe to the Grizzlies for Jonas Valanciunas, a guy who is not going to be as great defensively as Steven Adams, but offensively is going to be able to stretch the floor for Zion. The team also fired Stan Van Gundy and hired a new coach in Willie Green, who just was with the Suns in the finals like literally a couple months ago. In the draft, they got Trey Murphy III from the Valanciunas trade, and I think that guy is probably going to end up coming in as a 3 or 4 and being a defensive stopper on the team. As for the starting lineup, I think it's pretty straightforward on who they're going to play in it. They'll probably have something around the lines of Tomas Satoransky at the 1, Nickeil Alexander-Walker at the 2, Brandon Ingram at the 3, Zion at the 4 if he is healthy to start the season, because apparently he just got back from foot surgery like at the beginning of the offseason, and have Valanciunas play the 5. Off the bench, I predict that Kira Lewis Jr., Devontae Graham, Josh Hart, Trey Murphy III, and either Willie Hernan-Gomez or Jackson Hayes are going to be the people that are running the backup minutes at center. When I look at Tomas Satoransky as being the starting point guard of the team, I don't really like it that much, but I feel like because of the fact that he is the veteran point guard on the team, he will probably be starting. Or he might come off the bench and they might either have Kira Lewis Jr. or Devontae Graham start in his place, but I'll get onto those two and why I think they're going to start instead of him later on in the video. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was kind of that guy that got thrusted into the starting shooting guard position late last season, and I'm kind of pretty much hoping, or at least I think, that he's going to be the starting shooting guard this year as well. Now that both Drew Holiday and Eric Bledsoe are pretty much gone from the team, I'm actually looking at him to sort of have like a breakout year for the Pelicans. And apparently he was inspired by Garrett Temple to kind of host like a team dinner, because apparently Garrett Temple did that like a while ago, and then Nickeil decided to do that, and he kind of took charge of the dinner, and kind of, I guess it goes to show that he kind of wants to be like more of a young leader on this team for the guys. After looking at him last year, I think that this year his efficiency can be improved, and I think that he can probably be a certified bucket, or at least like be an amazing scorer, kind of like he was in college. And who knows, he might end up being that number 3 guy that this team needs if BI and Zion can't get the job done. Brandon Ingram is just a certified bucket. I actually kind of find it funny that last year, pretty much all of his statistics, his percentages, everything, even his points were exactly the same as his year that he won most improved. I just think the one thing that I kind of want out of Ingram is for him to, you know, be able to steal the ball more, because Tiny Dog kind of got that wingspan. He kind of got that long ass arms, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, I kind of view him as a guy that should get at least, or at least average a steal a game. Also, I've been like a big BI fan ever since he was drafted by the Lakers. I'm a Lakers fan, for those of you who don't know, and I've always believed in him. I know that he had like so many inconsistencies like his rookie and sophomore year, but honestly at the end of his 3rd year and during the year that he won most improved, he just really proved me right, man. Like, he proved that he was probably a better offensive player than Ben Simmons ever could be. I'm not trying to take shots at Ben, but I mean, Brandon Ingram is just, I mean, they're 2 different types of players, so I mean, take that as you will. Zion is kind of in an interesting spot this season because of the fact that, I mean, A, his foot is broken, and B, apparently a lot of the people in his family in camp are kind of unhappy with New Orleans. He was also the guy in the league who got his shot blocked the most last year, and I get that, like, he's a big-ass dude that uses his physicality to play bully ball, but I mean, bro, I want you to round out your game just a little bit at least. But he also only had like 20 double-doubles last season, which is really surprising for a guy who could pretty much 99% of the time box out anyone that is guarding him on the offensive side or even defensive side of the ball for him to get a rebound. But I do hope that he does kind of take the Blake Griffin route and kind of round out his game. I'm not asking him to shoot 3-point shots like Blake did, but at least kind of like be a playmaker. And I know that they did that last year with the whole point Zion thing, but like wasn't really more of a playmaker. He was just kind of like, you know, bringing the ball up and kind of just giving it to people. He wasn't really like creating plays, I guess, which is what Blake Griffin kind of does now. So if he could work on that part of his game, I would actually really appreciate it, because like, dude, you're this fucking big, and plus like you can't always rely on your athleticism, kind of like what Blake Griffin did for the early part of his career. I mean, the guy is just coming back from foot surgery, so I mean, he better not play as physically, because I mean, the fact that he's had a meniscus tear, he had like some other knee problem, and then he had a foot fracture. I mean, dude, you gotta take care of your body. You gotta find other ways to kind of be helpful on the floor, especially if like the entire time that you're just playing bully ball, you might end up getting hurt, because that's a big possibility, man. Jonas Valanciunas is probably one of the best centers to have along Zion this year, because I mean, last year they had Steven Adams, and don't get me wrong, yeah, I like Steven Adams and all, but he was not going to be spacing the floor for Zion at all. With Valanciunas, you kind of lose some of the defense that Adams provides, but you do add an offensive spark. I mean, Valanciunas at least attempts like around 2 threes a game, and I'm pretty sure he'll probably get that up to 3 or 4 playing with Zion. So I mean, he's the perfect center to pretty much put along Zion, and for the money at least, he's a guy that I would really like to have on my team as well. When it comes to looking at the bench, like I said earlier, I think that either Kira Lewis Jr. or Vontae Graham are going to be starting at the point guard position, and if I did actually have to pick one of those two guys to start, I think I would pick Vontae over Kira Lewis. I say that because in the last few years, he's been a majority of the time a starter on the teams that he's played on. Mind you, he's only played on Charlotte, so I mean, take that with a grain of salt, I guess. Plus, he does shoot the 3 better than Sato does, and honestly, looking at Kira Lewis Jr. Last year, his rookie year, he just wasn't great. But he did show signs that he was improving offensively. So, I mean, if he can kind of make that jump this year, then that would be really appreciated. And I think that it would be great for his game to have a guy like Vontae or Sato starting in front of him. Josh Hart is literally just kind of like Lou Dort, a fucking fire hydrant, man. His 3-point shooting did go down last year, but I wouldn't really worry about that too much. He's still kind of that 3-and-D guy that a lot of people want. I mean, hell, the dude literally averaged like 8 rebounds a game. He averaged more rebounds than Zion did last year. Which, I mean, that was like, when I looked at that, because I knew that he rebounded the ball well last year, but like, looking at the stat, I was like, there's no way that this man averaged more rebounds than Zion did. So, I mean, he's pretty much like a solid dude, and I wouldn't worry too much about him, honestly. Trey Murphy III was the draft pick that they got this year from the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's kind of looking to be a sort of 3-and-D type player, kind of like a Robert Covington. Looking at his play in college, he was really a really good defensive stopper, and I mean, he shot the 3 pretty well, so I'd say that he's a pretty solid pick for them. Plus, he looked great in Summer League. Like, literally, the first game that he played, he scored like 26 points and played some pretty solid defense. So I think when Josh Hart or Zion are out there, like, if he has to substitute one of the two, or even BI or something like that, I think that he's going to do a pretty good job. I'm just looking for this guy to come in, play solid defense, and shoot the 3, and just kind of, you know, be there to consistently, like, you know, help the team out, or at least like contribute to the team. Willie Hernan-Gomez is a pretty solid big to have on your bench. He might not shoot the 3, but I think he rebounds pretty well, and he blocks shots here and there, so I mean, he's going to be solid off the bench for them. Jackson Hayes could also get backup center minutes, but I mean, he's been kind of inconsistent throughout his career, or at least like the last 2 years that he's played, so his rookie and sophomore year, so I don't really know. His numbers are kind of like up and down for me, but if he gets backup center minutes, I mean, I think that would be cool. As for this team's record, they were literally like right outside of the play-in tournament, and I think that this year they can actually do it. They can push for a play-in spot. I think that their ceiling is a 9th or 10th seed at best. If Zion comes back from his foot injury, anything like he did last year, and he kind of rounds out his game a little more like I want him to, this team is going to be very scary. Like I said earlier, I think the floor for this team is to be outside of the play-in. I think the ceiling for this team is to be a 9th or 10th seed, make it into the play-in, and lose in the first round to whoever they go up against, probably the Lakers or someone else. And I'm really excited to potentially see Zion play playoff basketball this year, because Ja and RJ, the guys who were picked after him, were able to do that last year, and I think it's his turn to kind of, you know, get into that sort of mold of like, hey, I can lead a team to the playoffs, or I can be in playoff basketball. I really want to see him and BI really make the playoffs, because boy, they made the play-in tournament just so Zion had a chance to be in the playoffs, and I mean, I think this is his year to do it this time. Well, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe like usual. I will be back tomorrow with another 30 teams in 30 days, focusing on the Chicago Bulls, so I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.